Hi guys, this is another video on internet settings. This will be showing you a couple of things that I've seen people have problems with, and it's mainly in regards to settings in registry editor that you want to change in order to have more of spectrum of settings in your internet adapter. So if you go to your device manager and you go to your network adapter properties tab advanced, you'll have this list of properties that you can change and adjust. So I've done a video on those previously, so you can check what are the best settings for adapter while you're on the cable. And I'll just go through it quickly so you can see. If you didn't watch the previous video and you don't want to watch it, then you can just take it from here. This is one of the things that I'm going to show you how to increase in registry editor, because usually you have 1, 2 or 4 queues if you're up to 1 gig. I don't know about higher connections, maybe something like 10 gig might give you up to 16 queues, because that's what 10 gig can do. For 1 gig, I've tested it, anything above 8 queues actually decreases performance. So I've got it on 8 and it works fine for me. But yeah, these things you want all disabled. I've got VLAN enabled for testing. Usually I have it disabled, but if you want to try yourself, if your connection will work better with VLAN enabled, you might try that as well. I'll show you also how to increase that. Receive buffers, that's in registry editor, because usually it's anything between 128 to 2048. I think I've seen the highest, but that could have been someone who's set it manually to that level in registry editor. Mine were 128 to 512, but yeah, that can be changed as well. These are the rest of the settings that you should have set the same. Okay. And apart from registry editor, that I told you about, there'll be also Nigel's algorithm that you want to turn off, and also ACK. Those two things will in theory help you depending on how you use your internet, as they may add latency. So basically what happens is that Nigel's algorithm, what it does is it will add latency through waiting for smaller packets, so then it can send one bigger packet, and it can introduce up to on top of my head, I think it was 200 or 300 milliseconds. It doesn't mean it will be always happening, but if it's on, it means that your system has that ability to do that. And this is what will happen if you have a bunch of tiny small packets. They'll be added together on top of each other, adding latency, and then send to the receiver. So yeah, let's go to the registry editor. For those of you who may not know how to do it, you just need to that's in Windows 10. Of course, you want to press just click on your search bar and type in reg edit, and you just press on that. You accept the account control. Right, and how do you find the settings that you want to change? It's pretty easy. Instead of going through all of the paths manually, you just want to go to edit, click on find, and you want to type in jumbo frame. This is one of the settings that you can change. So if you just search for that, it will take you straight into it, and press enter. It might take a short while, but it should go straight into where we need it, where we need to be. Yeah, so that's the jumbo frame. These are the two standard settings. I did some tests with it, and in certain scenarios it actually does work a bit better with 9,000, with either 9,000 or 4,000 bytes. What it does is it goes beyond 1500 MTU, so it's not necessarily that it will always help, but depending on what you do, it might help. I found it that while I was streaming, recording, and doing few other things in the background, while doing speed tests for bloatware, it actually did help. And it did help in a way that instead of having multiple spikes going, my latency going up to about 250 milliseconds, it did reduce the spikes to maybe 1, 2 or 3 under heavy multiple load of many programs using my connection at the same time, under heavy load basically. Right, okay, so it took us to jumbo frame, right, to jumbo packets particularly. Okay, and this is where you want to be. Right, so for the receive buffers, this is your standard setting of anything from 32 to 512. Right, okay, it isn't. It actually isn't. I just realized that I have another key with these settings, which is not what I want, and it is not what you want either. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find it again, hoping that I'll find the correct path. Hey, there we go. Okay, so yeah, my bad. Instead of typing jumbo frame, you want to type in jumbo packet, because in your adapter settings it's called jumbo frame, but in registry editor it will be jumbo packet. So yeah, you want to type in jumbo packet. But just in case, if you're not sure, maybe you've never been into registry editor, This is the path that you want to go into, which I'll also paste under the video. But for now, quick access, if you're doing it live, it's H key local machine, system, control, set 001, control, class, and then you have to find the key which represents your particular adapter. And how do you do that? Well, you shouldn't have too many of them, so you can... Okay, there is actually quite few. Right, so how do you want to find that part in class? It's pretty easy. All you have to do is just go into your adapter settings again, which is in device manager under network adapters. You right click on it, go into properties, and then you go into details tab, and in details tab you will have this drop down menu with the properties, and you want to choose from the driver key, was it? Yeah, driver key. And this driver key is basically what you want to where you want to be in your registry editor. So in this example, let me just make it more clear for you. In this example, I can read my driver key is 4D36E972, which is that, and it will be usually the 97 or 96 or 95 or 98 something number after 4D36E, because it all starts with 4D36E, but then the last three numbers in this sequence are changing. So you have a bunch of those, and then you have 970, 971. So my one is 972, and then you want to make sure the rest also adds up. E32511CE, E32511CE, BFC, and then 10318 is how it ends. And once you're there, you will want to use the last 4 digits from the sequence, which in my case is 0008, and that's the next key that you want to go into, 0008. And then you go into NDI, params for parameters, and there you are. Right, so once you're here, what you can do is you can easily change, and when I say change, I mean go beyond the limits set by Windows for your network adapter. So let's go with RSS queues. So as I said earlier, mine works fine with 8 queues. It actually works best with 8 queues on 1 gig connection. And how do you do that? You simply go into, in this case, RSS queues key. You have to press that little arrow on the left. So you open tree and you access enum, and then you simply press right in empty space within that enum where you have all your other queues, and you choose to create new dword 32-bit value. Sorry, I'm stupid. Not dword. You don't create dwords here. What you do is you create string value, and you name your string value whatever you want it to be, the number of RSS queues. So let's say you want to experiment with 12 queues. you just name it 12. You don't have to, because it's only the name of it, it's not going to be the value of it, but then it's easy to not get confused when you go back into your adapter settings and you want to do your test. Right click on it, modify, and you simply name it whatever queues you want it to be. So in this case 12 queues, and press OK. And once you have that, you can go back to your adapter settings, properties, advanced, and now if you scroll down to RSS queues, you should have the 12 added to the list. That simple. This applies to everything else. So I've changed my receive buffers and transmit buffers. I was testing them up to 16,384, but pretty much anything above 8,000 that I have set was too much. So how I did it, in this case I didn't have to add anything because transmit buffers and receive buffers have a range. So instead of adding separate numbers, I've simply changed the max for it, and that did the trick. So I think I've had it like 128 or something to 512. I've changed it to default 512 to whatever number max I wanted to have for it then to be checked. So it's simply double click on max and change that number. What I did, I went with the numbers that you would use for your RAM memory, because it was 128, 256, 512. I did the same, and I just went up to this number, which is 16,384, as if it was like 16 gig RAM. It has nothing to do with RAM, but it's just how I was increasing the numbers when I was testing. So yeah, that's for the receive buffers, and the same for transmit buffers. I've also only changed max, and this allows me to then change what I want it to be in adapter properties. So if I go to receive buffers, I'll be able to go up to 16,384. But as I said, I tested it on 8192 and it works best, so I just leave it there. But if you want to try with your settings differently, this gives you the chance to go as high as you want. Right, okay, so that's that. And now the last thing I wanted to show you is Nigel's algorithm and ACK. You want to basically turn them both off, because one introduces latency, and the other one use the three-way handshake. So if you know about it, you know what it is. If you don't, I'll just try to quickly explain that. Basically, three-way handshake means that when your system sends data to the server, what it does is first it sends sorry, it will send packet asking the server if it's received the packet. So choose a random number and you send the packet, then the server will send the data back to your system. So whatever number your system chose, the server will increase that number by 1, and this will mean to your computer that the server received your data, and it knows what it's received because it increased it by 1. And then your system will go back to the server and send a response saying that, okay, I've got your response, I know you got mine, so now we've got a connection set. But you really don't need to do that because it may increase your latency. And when I say you don't need to do that, what I mean is these settings are purely for latency and fast shooters or any other gaming that may require really low latency. So all these things should help you achieve the lowest possible latency. So turning these two off technically should help. You obviously want to experiment, see if it works better for you or not, depending again on your setup, on your internet, on your connection, how you've got things connected, how you have everything else set. It may be a different scenario, but general rule is that technically it does increase latency. All right. So what I'll do, I'll just find my ACK. Right, it's not that. It is there somewhere. I've done it quite a while ago. I cannot remember paths. Registry is like absolutely humongously huge. It's so big that there's no way that anyone in the world would know all the paths. So I'm just gonna search and find it now. Right, okay, it's still not that one. Ah, there it is. Okay. So where you want to find your path where you will be adding TCP ACK frequency and TCP no delay words is as follows, which I will paste under the video as well. So that will be, for now, quickly, if you're doing it live again, it will be H key local machine system control set 001 services TCP IP parameters interfaces, and then in interfaces you will want to go into the key that contains your adapter. And how do you know which one contains your adapter? For everyone it will be different key. So once you're in interfaces, you'll have a list of keys, and most of them will be very short. And what I mean by short is they'll be small, there'll be barely any data in it. But you will have few bigger ones, like this one, and then small, and then big one again. So you want to look into the big ones, and once you know which ones are the big ones, you'll have to choose one out of the big ones where you'll have to add no delay. And how do you know which one to choose? It's pretty simple, because the one that you want to use is the one with your IP address. And if you know how to quickly find your IP address, well done, you can do it yourself. If someone doesn't know, you simply go to your command prompt, and again, for those who don't know how to do it, just click in the search bar, type in CMD. It should come up with command prompt. Right click on it and make sure you run it as administrator. Press yes to confirm the user account control. Now make sure you press again where you see the blinking in command prompt, because otherwise you won't be writing in there. You have to actually click there when it opens, and then you simply type in IP config and press enter. And when you do that, it will come up with this little table giving you your IP address. And when you have your IP address, which is IPv4 address, that's what you want to look for in one of the big keys in registry editor. So this big key doesn't have my IP address, right? And you can clearly see that this one does. It's the same numbers, right? So this is where you want to be. And once you're here, you type, you press right button on an empty field, new dword 32-bit value. And first dword 32-bit value you want to name as TCP ACK frequency as one word, and then you want to add another dword 32-bit value, and you want to name it TCP no delay as one word again. And once you have these two, you simply double click on it and you change the value to 1, which means it's 0 or 1, yes or no. And when you have changed that to 1, you just simply press OK and you're done. And you want to do that for both. Change the value to 1, press OK, and you're done. And that's all you gotta do. Once you have those, you have set your Naegele's algorithm to off, and you've also turned the three-way handshake off. So just one last word about the three-way handshake. It will mean that you may lose some data and it won't be corrected, because the way that three-way handshake works is that it helps the connection to be stable. So I found when I was playing, I'm pretty sure it was Black Ops, that sometimes I would have, when playing online, I would have sometimes a loss of connection. So little icon would show me that there is some lost connection, but it wasn't often. And if this is something that bothers you, and maybe you'll find that whatever you're doing on your PC, with these settings it causes you more problems because you're losing too much data, and too much data is not being sent, and you're basically not happy with it. You can just simply delete those two keys or set them to 0, and it will be back to normal. But as I said, it's happened a few times to me, and I believe it was only under very heavy load. I currently have like 10 different devices connected to one router. Even though the PCs are on cables, the rest of the devices is using Wi-Fi, and it was under heavy load, so it's possible that it wasn't the reason why I've had it. But anyway, I didn't have it since then. I played that game quite often, and I haven't had problems with it. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you, and I wish you happy gaming.